So let's just jump right into this. Have you ever found yourself completely stuck at a crossroads in life? You know that feeling, right? Feeling totally lost, helpless, or just defeated? It's a really heavy place to be. You look around, the walls feel like they're closing in, and you literally just don't know the way out. Well, that is exactly what we're tackling in today's explainer. We are diving deep into the Geeta Saar, which is essentially the core of Lord Krishna's timeless wisdom. And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophical theory. Think of it as a highly practical toolkit, designed to guide your mind from absolute chaos back to a totally unshakable inner equilibrium. It's the universal question, isn't it? Why do bad things happen to us, especially when we try so incredibly hard? It's a very real, very human sting. We put in the effort, we play by the rules, we try our best to be good people, and yet life still forces us into a corner. Our dreams shatter, our relationships break apart, or those golden opportunities just slip right through our fingers. And in those moments, it's entirely natural to feel a deep, deep sense of injustice. We sit there thinking, why me? Seriously, why me? But what if we completely flipped the script on how we actually view these adversities? Now, this is going to require a massive paradigm shift. One of Lord Krishna's most foundational teachings is simply this: whatever happens, happens for the best. And yeah, I know, when you are smack in the middle of a crisis, hearing someone say it's for the best might sound literally impossible. It might even make you a little angry. But the core message here is about recognizing a hidden redirection. If a dream breaks, it means it's time to weave an entirely new one. If a relationship ends, well, it's making space for a much truer connection. Every single hardship, every closed door, it is not a punishment. It is actually a vital, absolutely necessary setup for your future growth. To really wrap our heads around this redirection, think about a bird resting in its nest. It might absolutely love the comfort of that little home, but when that nest breaks, the bird is suddenly forced out into the sky. It is literally forced to realize its true capacity to fly high. It's the same thing with a diamond. Coal doesn't turn into a sparkling diamond by just sitting comfortably on a shelf somewhere, right? It requires immense, crushing pressure. Breaking out of our comfort zone is painful, for sure, but it is the exact catalyst required to forge our own greatness. That immense pressure you might be feeling right now, that's just the diamond-making process. And hey, if you feel like you are at absolute rock bottom right now, I want you to remember this: the night is always, always darkest just before the sun is about to rise. Experiencing extreme darkness or a sense of total failure, that isn't the end of your story. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a cosmic signal. The very fact that things feel impossibly difficult right now means a massive breakthrough is right on the horizon. The light of a completely new opportunity is way closer than you think. Okay, so how do we actively apply this to our daily lives? Well, it starts with aggressively managing our own minds. First, we absolutely must let go of the past. It's just a lesson now, nothing more. Second, we have to stop obsessing and worrying about tomorrow. Because honestly, worrying doesn't solve tomorrow's problems, does it? It literally only burns up today's peace. So instead, our entire focus needs to be dialed in on our current actions. While the physical world around us is totally temporary, our actions, our karma, are immortal. What we do today, the actual effort we put in right here, right now, is quite frankly the only thing truly in our control. And that brings us to a deep spiritual concept that is essentially the ultimate antidote to anxiety: nishkam karma. What this means is performing your duty, giving it your absolute 100%, but doing it entirely selflessly. You do it without any attachment whatsoever to the outcome or the reward. Think about it. We usually only act because we want a very specific result, right? But true inner equilibrium happens when we dedicate our actions to a higher purpose, or even just to the pure joy of the work itself. When you finally detach your happiness from the end result, failure can no longer destroy you. And just as importantly, success can no longer inflate your ego. Now, your environment plays a massive, massive role in this whole journey. Imagine a single drop of water. If that tiny drop falls onto a scorching hot pan, what happens? It evaporates instantly. Boom, destroyed. But if that exact same drop of water lands gently on a lotus leaf, it shines beautifully, almost like a precious pearl. It's wild to think about, but your surroundings literally dictate your destiny. You might have pure, absolutely boundless potential inside you, but if you place yourself in the wrong environment, that potential is just going to vanish into thin air. The Gita takes this water drop metaphor even further, and it delivers a pretty stark warning. If water is offered by a holy, pure person, it becomes a vessel of salvation. But if that exact same water goes into the mouth of a snake, It converts instantly into deadly poison. It's a heavy thought, but toxic company will take your good intentions, your vital energy, and your pure potential and just twist them into something totally destructive. So, who you choose to spend your time with, that's not just a casual choice. It is literally the architect of your future. And this dynamic heavily influences our closest relationships too. In fact, it forces us to ask a really confronting question. Are you experiencing true love, or are you just feeling attachment? We constantly confuse the two, don't we? We wrap up our own selfish desires with a pretty bow and we call it love. Take a second to really reflect on this. Are your connections with others built on genuine, unconditional care for their well-being? Or are they secretly built on selfish expectations of what that person can do for you? Because there is a very sharp distinction here. True love is liberating. It's selfless, and it comes with zero conditions. On the flip side, we have what is called moha, which translates to attachment or illusion. Moha completely binds you. It is inherently selfish, and it's entirely driven by your expectations. The wisdom of the Gita actually teaches us that the vast majority of our suffering in relationships, it doesn't come from love at all. It comes straight from moha. When our expectations aren't met, we suffer. So love doesn't actually cause us pain. It's our rigid, stubborn attachments that do the hurting. Let's deepen this concept a bit because it's a real game changer. Moha is basically the illusion that our personal happiness depends on possessing a specific person, object, or situation. You know that voice in your head demanding, I will only be happy if they act this exact way, or I absolutely must have this job to be complete? That's moha. Moha selfishly says, you are only mine. True love, on the other hand, boldly says, be happy wherever you are. Making that internal transition from moha to true love, well, that is easily one of the hardest, yet most incredibly liberating shifts a human mind can ever make. So, to protect this newfound peace from all the external chaos out there, you need to build what we can call an inner fortress. And this fortress requires a few specific behavioral pillars. First off, keep your secrets absolutely safe. Second, you've got to control your reactions to insults. People are always going to try to trigger you. Whatever you do, do not hand them the remote control to your emotions. Third, stop trying to please everyone. It's a totally impossible task that's only going to drain your soul. And finally, keep your mind calm, like cold iron. Think about it. Hot iron can be beaten into any shape by a blacksmith, right? But cold, calm iron, that is practically unbreakable. If you want to understand the sheer power of keeping your secrets safe, just look at the epic tale of Ravana. The guy was incredibly powerful, virtually invincible, and yet he fell. Why? How? Because his ultimate vulnerability, the literal secret of his immortality, was exposed by his own brother. The big takeaway here? Guard your inner vulnerabilities fiercely. Even the most capable, incredibly powerful figures out there can be completely dismantled if they carelessly reveal their deepest secrets to the wrong people. Your inner world desperately needs boundaries. But, what happens when that fortress is eventually breached and sorrow inevitably enters? Well, think of joy and sorrow for a minute. When joy arrives, we often forget our loved ones. Sometimes we even forget our creator. Everyone naturally wants to be around joy. But sorrow? Sorrow acts as the ultimate filter. It completely grounds us. It reveals the true value of life, and it strips away all the fake friends, showing you exactly who truly stands by your side when the lights go out. To successfully navigate that kind of sorrow, you need to lean heavily into 3 essential traits. First up, prayer. And I don't mean prayer as some magic wand to just fix the outside world, but rather as a profound tool to transform your own character and thoughts. Second is humility. Think of water again. It naturally bends around rocks and obstacles, and simply because it is humble enough to adapt, it always reaches its destination. And third, silence. In a highly reactive world that is absolutely obsessed with having the last word, choosing silence is very often a profoundly more powerful and dignified response than anger. And here's the beautiful part. When you start to master these traits, this truly magical realization happens. We spend so much of our lives just wandering outside, right? Chasing validation, chasing money, chasing people, all in search of some kind of guiding light. But the illumination is already within us. It really is. All the divine strength, the infinite possibilities, and that immense power you keep looking for out in the world, it's actually resting quietly inside you, just waiting for you to finally acknowledge it. But let's be real. Acknowledging that strength requires a lot of courage. Think of a butterfly inside its cocoon. It is completely safe in there. Literally nothing can harm it. But as long as it stays bundled up in there, it can never touch the sky. It can never actually fulfill its destiny. Staying inside your comfort zone provides this really wonderful illusion of safety, sure, but it entirely prevents you from achieving your true potential. Eventually, you just have to embrace the risk of the open air if you ever want to fly. And as you finally start to fly, you've got to remember that life is a constant, ongoing balance between joy and sorrow. We tend to treat joy as this ultimate destination that we are constantly seeking out, but sorrow, that is the mandatory journey that actually makes us strong enough to appreciate and handle the joy when we get it. They are literally two sides of the exact same coin. Accepting both of them, meaning not frantically clinging to joy and not constantly running away from sorrow, that is the real path to ultimate liberation. So the Geeta Saar essentially shows us that our pain is our greatest teacher. Our actions are immortal, and the light we so desperately need is already shining inside of us. So the only question I have left for you is this. Are you finally ready to step out of your cocoon and embrace the sky? It's time to break your limits, stop overthinking all the things you simply cannot control, and confidently take selfless action today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I genuinely challenge you to carry this inner equilibrium with you into the rest of your day.